All right. So sd.dashboard. Okay, where is that? Dashboard. All right. Who remembers how we run a Streamlit app? You remember from last session what was the step we would take or code? We need to run something in the terminal. What is that code? I want to remember it.
Streamlit.
A Streamlit. What else? What's the exact script?
Like the file that it's called.
Exactly. There's one more thing missing.
Streamlit app dot p1.
There's in the middle one. A Streamlit run.
No, Streamlit run.
Right.
Opposite.
A Streamlit run. You have to always place that. So it takes time to memorize it, but that's okay. A Streamlit run. After run, you're like a Streamlit run. After that, the name of the file. Since I have here app day2.py, okay, I will use that name here. So you're typing the name of your file that you want to run. It says Streamlit.
And what did you do before Streamlit run to make it activate?
No, it just came out like automatically. Don't worry about it. Okay. Did everyone get it? Let's see this page. Okay, so that's the code. What will happen is that a Streamlit runs on your browser, like a local browser, and you want to keep it online. If you see an error like a close, that just means the connection has been lost and you need to restart it. Not restart the app, restart the connection. Just go back, start a new terminal, and then again type Streamlit run and then the name of the file. A lot of times it will happen. I will show you this. I will close this terminal and then I'll go back. Okay. This will happen, connection error. It just lost connection because I closed the terminal, or I could close the application. That just means that I need to go back to the terminal, right? And then a Streamlit run app day2.py. Just start the connection again. All right. Now you see the difference between like the title, header, and subheader, like the organization or the order of the like title fonts. Streamlit has this feature, like or at least one of the things that we cover here is st.divider, and then close parentheses. What's the st divider? It just basically creates one line under the on the UI. So if you do that, you can see that this line is hidden. So sometimes it gives you like way to separate the sections. So that's about it. st.divider. Just remember, I could have also mentioned this in the last session. I will mention it later. So you can also do this with the st.markdown in a different way. Like for example, like st.markdown, and then okay, but let's see. So you can just type st.markdown and then not text any, like not type any text. It just basically actually this will not show it. I will like try it here so you can see the difference. Okay. It can just a space up. Okay, so you can create a spaces using a string like a markdown, like empty strings, just leaves that empty like row. These are just things that you can try on the UI. So for example, I can use this one, and then okay, so it creates that line. If you use a string like st markdown and like the dashes, it kind of like does a very similar task like or job like a SD.divider. Okay. Similar thing to SD.divider. So I will just move it here just so you can see both of them at the same time. And then if you later you run your code. Okay. All right. Very simple. Good. We'll talk about that later. Okay, let's define so if you're using your database, you're loading the data at this point. We're getting the data here. Let's kind of like simulate loading data. Okay, what's loading data? We're just like adding the assignments list here. Okay, adding the assignments here. The only thing I will copy and paste from the prior session is this part, so we don't do it again. At least for saving time. That's it. Okay, so these are the assignments that I added last session. I will just use them here as well. Okay, so we are working with the list of dictionaries. Every dictionary is an assignment. It's a basically key value. These are the ones that you created the assignment as well. Like you use this in the homework too. So in UI design, you're going to interact with these items frequently. Okay, so two categories: the input widgets and then the layout. The input ones, these are the ones that you use for collecting different type of inputs from the user. Input means that could be just an information you're collecting, just like a full text, or you're like, let's say, hey, like, what is your gender? What is like this type of categorical variable? That's still an input you're collecting, but you have limited set of options. Your list is limited. In all those cases, everything is just an input. Like data that you're like collecting from the user is an input, the file uploader. SD or Streamlit has a lot of these elements that enables you to create that UI. We'll talk about them, just like use them once or twice, and then you just need to practice them and then come up with your own layout design. I will show you the design, but layout design is just about thinking, being creative, how to use the design, what is your design thinking, your own design thinking, how you want to place different items into your like layout. These are things that you have to come up with. You just like practice them once, and then I'll let you think about how like for the homeworks, how you want to build them. I won't tell you how the layout is going to look like. I will give you the description, like the same one. Let's say you have the homework one. Now you're building the UI version. You already have the back end code. Now you have to build the front end code. You have to vision how it should look like and then build it. But I will show you tricks that you can use to come up with some good designs. So let's start from here. Okay, input, process, output. What the first step is to collecting the inputs. And that means, let's say the user wants to like go and add an assignment. Let's think of it as a new, like a page. So I will use this time st.markdown so I can show you. You could use the subheader here or markdown, but the markdown gives you some different ways to like set the text fonts and like design. So for example, if you use one hashtag and say add new assignment, Okay, add new assignment. Okay, so one hashtag is let me show you like next to each other, so you should be able to see and choose one. Okay, one hashtag, two hashtag, three hashtag. Okay, so when you're selecting each one of these, you're like thinking, hey, how does it fit with my target? I think this is too big for here because it kind of like sets with the main title like font. So if I'm choosing, probably I'm going with this one because it's the main title of this section. But this is not good because it's probably I can keep it for a subsection. Okay, makes sense? So I will keep this for a main subsection. So I have this for the page header, and then I have the main titles here. That's how I try to organize it. So for this one, I will comment it out, and then I will comment it out too. So I have the two, this one, okay? And then let's try to collect the inputs. So every input you're collecting, you're storing it in a variable. Okay, you're not going to directly use them in the code, meaning that I'm collecting this input from the user. It's the title of the assignment. I'm not going to use sd.input in the code. I will store it in a variable and later I use it. I use that variable. So in this, what does that mean? Means that, hey, I create a new variable title. I will collect text input. I will collect that input and store it in a variable. Later in my code, I will use this variable, not directly using the element itself. Okay. Sometimes you think that like I will just like let me just use it directly. Why do I need to take that a step? But that's very important. So for this element, you need to add a title. Which means like kind of double quotation. Even if you place a double quotation, I think it won't show you an error. Okay. It adds the text box without the title. So in some cases, you might want to go with the Streamlit, like a markdown as a title, and then use the text box. I will talk about it. Or you use that a specific title here, which is like just inside that double quotation, I will use title. Okay. Use title, and then it shows the text box with the title. Yeah. Small. All right, add new assignment, title. Let's go with description now. st dot. Okay, so description and like this type of text could like refer to the text that can be longer than just like having a short title, like a description, assignment details, right? So for those cases, it wouldn't be a good idea to just give the user a text input, just this one. It can include the whole text, but it's going to hide the rest of the text and user doesn't see it. So an option here is to use text area. Okay, you use text area when you're like the user's input could be long, could be multiple lines of code, like a text. So you use a text area and then say, okay, this is description. You have a lot of these options that you can like check out, but I will go over two of them as like to review. Also, we talked last session. One is a placeholder. Placeholders usually come with the text box as text input. These are the ones that can give an example to the user. What kind of an example, like an input you're looking for. So placeholder will appear, and once the user types something in the text box, it disappears. Okay. So in this case, I can just say, normalization. Normalization is covered here. This is not good in this case. It's okay. I just want to show you an example. But as an example here, we can see it. Okay. So placeholder shows up in a like a this way inside the text box. And once the user starts typing, then it disappears. Okay, it disappears. So it is good to give an idea to the user what kind of information you're collecting in that. And a lot of times, if you've seen in a lot of UIs, they have the placeholder. It's a way to help the user input the information. But that's not enough in some cases. Like placeholder, usually it's just a simple 1-2 things that like it's the input. But a lot of like sometimes like you're collecting some type of information, but you want to explain what it is and why you're collecting it. Okay, explain it. In those cases, you want to add help. You want to add help. The help version is just like a help icon will appear, and in that you're explaining, hey, this is what we are collecting here, and what is the purpose and how it will be used, just in cases. I will just add here you're entering the assignment details. Okay. So if I go back and run it, this time this doesn't disappear. This appears as a like a sign here icon, and when the user kind of hovers over that icon, they can see the description. This is very helpful. A lot of times when the UI is a little bit more like you're collecting more more confusing or like harder to understand information. And these descriptions can help to kind of clarify that sort of information. Okay. All right. We have something like okay, let's collect the other ones as well. Description, points. Okay, points is SD dot number input, I think, right? Number input. This is the one that like forces the user to enter a value, numeric value. So this is the points, a numeric value. A numeric value. A lot of time, in order to make sure that the user doesn't give you wrong input, if you know the exact data type, you want to create the UI that collects the exact data type value. So points cannot be categorical like a character. So by giving that, you're forcing the user to give you a numeric value. And then type. Okay, so let's assume that type can have 2 types, like the assignment type, homework and then lab. These are 2 types for like a type. Showing that someone can choose, okay, someone can choose to say, hey, I'm going to use text box again to let the user choose from that, which is assignment type sd.text input. Assignment type. Okay. It sounds right. It is correct. Why it's not correct? When you have, just pay attention to the purpose of those text boxes. Don't throw and like use text box everywhere. This is a negative point. and it's -1 for your grade, like assignment grade. Here, assignment type has two possible options. Either it's a lab or homework. That means, why are you letting the user enter everything they want? You should use an element that forces the user to choose one of those items. Whenever you have a list of items that they're clear already, their values are clear, you shouldn't use a text box. You should use an alternative way. So an alternative way, I'm going to comment this out. An alternative way is the assignment type is equal to st.radio. Radio is like a radio have seen it. This is like it forces the user to select one of these, like if it was a C#, it's like a radio button. Here's radio. Radios. So you have to specify the name, which is, let's say, type, add a comma, and then here you provide a list of possible items or possible answer or type inside a list. Here I have assignment, what is it? Homework, add comma, and then lab. All right. So when we go back, now we can see the difference, right? Now you're forcing you're telling the user, these are the two options we have. You're giving information with your design to the user. You have two types and you have to choose one of them. Right? So that's the radio bar force. You have to choose. So that's one option. I think also you have this thing. Okay, like a horizontal. Like if you want is this vertical? Vertical, and then you can also show it this way. Just is that the other element you can try? I think it should be a true false. Yes, it's a Boolean. Okay, I'm gonna put it to true. Okay, so you can see that these are the ones that you can play with and figure out the other arguments of that design. All right, what is the other way to do this? I'm going to give you another way to do it in design, but we'll talk about it. The other way is to use a select box. Assignment type 2. I'm going to type to it so it kind of the difference. We only have one type, which is st.select box. Okay, type. Again, same way, homework, lab. Okay, select box. If you're working with an AI and developing an app, you have to remember how to phrase that. Hey, add a select box here, and these are the items for the select box. These are common UI elements. So it's not language dependent. It's not just for a Streamlit. Select box is the select box in C#. It's the select box in Streamlit. It's the select box in HTML. It's the select box anywhere else. Radio bar. It's the same thing. So learning these items will help you to better communicate your ideas when you're basically using vibe coding later. That's a whole different time. But for now, you're just learning these elements, how you can use them, right, to present your concept. So that's the use of a select box. It's a drop down. So in a different language, like a C#, it's a drop down. But here, kind of just select box is good. It's like a drop down of an items. Okay, So what is the similarity between this and select box? You are giving the exact list of items that the user can choose from. They can choose from. And then radio button is not good for this, but select box is good for it. What is it? In cases that you have, for example, you have these two options, but the still user can leave it empty. The user can leave it empty. It's not good for a radio button to just say like not select. But for a select box, it's okay to just add one option if the user can not specify. This can be not null in your database. You don't have to provide it. You can just say select an option. Okay. This way, it's just another option, but this way, the user can leave it there and then let the user select it. You don't want to do it with the radio bar. It's not a good idea with the radio bar. Radio bar, the value has to be exactly clear. The other way that you can use a select box. So I'm going to add another one. Other. In cases that you want to give the user options to choose from or the option to enter. Again, it's a design decision. Some not design decision just, but also like a way that depends on what kind of inputs that you can collect. You can allow the user to provide for a specific variable. Okay. Again, depends on kind of the database too, how you're building your tables, or if they can be null or not null, or what kind of information. So then I can say if assignment 2 is equal to other, okay, now let's say I'm going to use this one again, but this time it's the text input. Okay, type. And then I will add a placeholder here. Type. Enter the assignment type. Okay. Assignment type. Okay, so if we go back, let's see the difference. Now I can select an option, and if I select the option, then it appears. Then it appears the user to enter a value if it's not one of them. The difference is that user gets informed you have two options to choose from, and if not, if you don't find that option, then enter the value. Okay. Okay. Any question? Okay, do we see the difference between the elements? So make sure to pay attention to that difference, and when you're working on the homework, it is your vision and your understanding of that design, the right design for a specific section. Okay. Right. Oh, I forgot to add I know we had this std caption. I can simply use it to just show you what kind of a use can have a caption. For example, here, if I add st.caption, okay, st.caption, what is it? Homework. You may not need it, but like let's see what it like how it can look like in the design. So I added that like a st caption. Okay. So you see, like it's kind of like a small like a text that can appear somewhere. If you're adding a caption under a title, if you want to add a small caption under a title, under text, you can use a caption just in case of being more informative. All right. Due date. Did we collect the due date? No. Due date st.date date input. Okay, so due date. For this one, you can use like minimum value, other arguments that you have. You can like check it out later for yourself. All right. And then if we run it, then we can select from the dates. You want to have like a start time, end time. Then you can like provide two of them, right? So change this to a start date and end date, or instead of like just the due date, depending on how you've built your like assignment dictionaries. All right, great. Button, take basically triggering an action. When you're changing the direction, engaging in action, changing between the pages, that's when you need buttons. You don't use that radio button or radio for going to a next page. That user chooses like another radio item and then moves to the next page, or like takes an important action. It has to be a click. It has to be triggered by a click. So btn save st.button. The same way, I want to try to like kind of store it in a variable like a btn save and then use it. So I'm defining the button. The button is save. Okay, button is save. It's the name of the button. And then if you run it, you can see it here. All right, you can see it here. So you have one of the important things that you use with the button is the size of the button. Okay. So how do you fix it? I noticed this. So older Streamlabs, I used to use them like 8 months ago. Then this one was working. It still works. It's going to be like removed from this, which is use container width. So you might you might use that, which is use container width, and then it's a boolean. You want to like set it to true. Okay. This one is kind of an older version. If I run this, okay, you can see that the button size is taking the whole space. Okay. And your versions are using, or like if in they'll tell in the terminal, probably you will see it. It says use width. Okay, if you use width, you have two options. Content. That's the if you select it, the size of the button is as much as the content size, like amount of that like a button or title of that button. If you use a stretch, then it stretches it through the whole area. Okay, so try this. If it didn't work, use the other one. But this one is a more recent one. All right. So how do we check if a button is clicked? Just a simple one. If btn save. This is how you check if a button is clicked. Whenever it's clicked, button. If the button is clicked, just it's kind of, I think it will return true false to just say it's clicked. st.warning. Let's do this for now. Working on it. Right, working on it. SD warning, these are the kind of like the things that you can create, messages that you can create. So SD.warning is like has this like a color here. Okay, click on save. Click on save. Do you see this like a note? That just means that now you can see that you can click and it takes an action. It creates an action. Okay. It creates an action. Next session, we will cover from here. Actually recording the assignment and then hopefully moving to the next one, next code, like updating, like viewing the assignment. So we want to completely develop the code, UI design for this assignment. So for now, that's about it. I'm gonna stop here and then check your attendance. Make sure to push your changes to GitHub so you can have the everything in your computer. That should be it. Let me just post this. Right. Thank you so much. I will stop here.